What do your dreams say? You spend on average 2 hours dreaming each night. So that amounts to 6 years during a typical lifespan. So if you spend that much time dreaming, you should definitely know what dreams tell you and how to use them in your life. If you want to know more, watch this video. I'm Dr. Matt and welcome to my channel. So let me start with a personal story that's connected with dreaming. A couple of years ago, I was assaulted in Brazil. That was a real life situation. It was life-threatening because two guys with guns, they entered into our car and they took us for a ride. I didn't know if they were kidnapping me, if they wanted to extort my money or ask for ransom and so on. After 1 hour I was released, but when I was released I ended up traumatized. So I had fears going into a car. I had fear traveling by any kind of transportation. When I was walking in the streets, then whenever I saw a car coming, this fear was appearing on its own. So I knew I had to work on myself, which of course I knew how to do. So for the next 2 weeks, I used all possible methods of personal development, coaching therapy to work with my emotions, with my thinking, with my behaviors. And finally I was done. It's very interesting how I knew that I was cured. I had a dream. And in this dream, two kidnappers, the guys who actually assaulted me, came into my seminar room. And as you know, I'm a teacher. And they started learning from me, and I was giving them advice. So when the dream was over, I woke up and I had this huge grin on my face because I knew that certain process that took me 2 weeks of quite serious therapeutic work was successful and that I succeeded. The dream had a very important significance, which was showing how my unconscious was transforming my attitudes towards this experience. So dreaming definitely can be of informative nature, but there's so much more to it. What actually is a dream really? It's a succession of images, of concepts, of emotions, bodily physiological sensations that occur involuntarily. You don't really control it unless you have certain consciousness and level of consciousness developed in the mind during certain stages of sleep. What dreams actually mean, why they appear, it's not fully understood, but there's many different cultural traditions and also scientific approach which do their best to explain what dreaming is about. They've been a topic of scientific speculation and subjects of religious interest, philosophical interest, cultural interest throughout history. Dream interpretation is an attempt to draw meaning from dreams and to figure out what actually they mean. Sigmund Freud was quite famous in this aspect, but not only. When it comes to when dreams occur, they happen during rapid eye movement stage of sleep, when brain activity is very high and resembles that of being awake. Dreams mainly occur in the rapid eye movement stage of sleep, and the length of dreams can vary. They may last for a few seconds or approximately 20-30 minutes. If people are awoken during REM phase, then they will most probably remember the dream, otherwise it's forgotten. And actually you will find many people who would say that they cannot remember their dreams. What helps is to have a notebook and a pencil next to your bed, so whenever you wake up the first thing in the morning, you quickly jot it down so that you remember your dream, because it's going to give you an important message. Average person has 3 to 5 dreams per night. Some people might have even 7. And during a full 8-hour night sleep, most dreams occur in the typical 2 hours of rapid eye movement. So I remember, and here's another story, that I was working with this man, and in his dream, as he was explaining this, he imagined himself having sex with one of his friends, but he was not in a relationship with her. And his girlfriend, that he was at that time in a relationship, was watching this and she was very unhappy. That happened in January. What's very interesting is that in March, he decided to separate from her. So here comes the question, what was that about? Was it a prophetic dream? Was he imagining what was going to happen as if he was able to foresee the future? Or maybe it was rather his unconscious that was informing him about what he was truly feeling. And when we had that mentoring session and we spoke about this, then he said, but that was in March, that at that time he was already considering leaving her and breaking up, but he was suppressing these thoughts and rationally convincing him that that relationship was good for him, but as a matter of fact it was not. So what was necessary for him was to imagine that he was betraying on his girlfriend so that he would find the right reason to be personally convinced that this relationship would not work. Think how complex this is. He needs to betray on someone so that he feels bad enough about himself so that he decides to break up. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't have broken up because of guilt or shame or whatever other reasons people have not to truly express their feelings. But here is when the dream comes in, because in the dream there's no ego boundaries, there's no logical mind which tells you how you should be, how it should work. It has no logical cause and effect patterning, so you might be delivered this most complex, profound metaphor in which a certain kind of story is presented, and this story is informing you about how you are truly processing life events. Dreams are complex, multi-layered metaphors, and there are many explanations what they mean. In Chinese history, people wrote of two vital aspects of the soul, which was saying that when we are sleeping, the journey is traveling, and the other part of the soul is remaining in the body. In Indian text, Upanishads, written between 900 and 500 BC, they emphasize two meanings of dreams. The first says that dreams are expressions of our desires, and the second is the belief that the soul is leaving the body to be guided until it awakens. The Greeks also had their concepts of how dreams operated. There was even a Greek god, his name was Morpheus. He was a god of dreams. He sent warnings and prophecies to those who slept in temples. Greek beliefs about dreams were that gods were basically physically visiting the dreamers and giving them certain type of information. So as you can see, there's many ideas about how dreams functions. Even indigenous American tribes and Mexican civilizations, they believed that dreams were a way, methods of visiting ancestors and being able to connect with them again. And Sigmund Freud was focused on dreams being manifestations of desires and mostly childhood memories. Whichever theory you choose, you always need to make sure that it has practical value for you. So what I personally use with myself and with my clients is the notion that dreams are what I make of it. So, and this is what I always do. Whenever I have a dream, I always wake up in the morning, I jot it down immediately, and I look at this complex metaphor. No matter how complex, weird, crazy it seems, I know that there is some concept there hidden which I will discover. So I ask myself a question when having read this dream and fully letting it sink in, I ask myself a question, what would I not be aware of? What wouldn't I be conscious of if I had not had the dream? So now this question makes me process information which presupposes that this dream is bringing me some sort of consciousness. It's bringing me some sort of knowledge. When I'm working on it, sometimes it appears very quickly, sometimes during that day an idea is going to pop up in my mind where this dream somehow connects with what I'm going through. Every dream is based on a certain matrix because it's a story. There's always certain heroes. Sometimes there's bad characters. There's always a plot line. There's even a punchline. There's objects. There's places. So you can always ask yourself a question. This object, this place, this person in a dream represents what, whom, and where, and when in my real life. This way, you may you do something that's called mapping across between dream reality and your conscious reality, and you translate what was given in the dream into your own reality. And this is how you make a dream a source of information about yourself. It's not really a concept of we're right or we're wrong, because we don't say that, for example, a broken tooth in a dream always represents that someone's going to die, and so on. This is not how it works in this method. What you actually do, you give a dream a meaning, and it can be totally different for someone else. So if someone else was dreaming your dream, they might have a totally different interpretation. But once you do mapping across between dreaming reality and conscious reality, and you ask yourself what you are conscious of right now and you wouldn't have been without this dream, then you are basically creating a reality and interpretation for yourself. This is how I do it personally. This is how I do it with my clients, and it works wonders. So I do suggest that you follow this routine and every day you practice, so that you also train your memory and remember your dreams better. Make also sure that every now and then you ask before going to bed, before falling asleep, a question: what would you like a dream to resolve? And let the information sink in and see what happens in the morning when you wake up. Okay, hope it was interesting for you. If this is the case, leave the thumbs up, share this movie with someone who could benefit from it. Subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and visit my blog to get more information about mixed martial arts. Thank you very much, and see you next time.